I think first and foremost, it's the women that are, that make up the Junior League of Tampa. I think also our leadership has been so intentional about being introspective, asking how we can continue to improve. We have multiple evaluation committees that exist to regularly evaluate our projects, our programs, our training. And I think that has helped us stay really true to our mission and mission driven. And then also, which is just kind of like an ancillary benefit of the women that make up the organization, having these thought leaders in the community come to us regularly and say, hey, I'm noticing we have this shortage, or hey, I'm noticing that we could play a role in filling this gap. Have you ever thought about human trafficking or diaper need? And then that allows us to consider how we can best deploy our resources to best meet the needs of children and women and families.
There are organizations in Tampa Bay that show up in the headlines. And then there are organizations that have been quietly building the city for 100 years, before the headlines, before the boom, before anyone was calling Tampa a destination. The Junior League of Tampa is the second kind, founded on April 2nd, 1926, by 22 women who looked around their community, saw what was missing, and decided to do something about it. The Junior League of Tampa has grown into one of the most impactful civic organizations in the region. Today, it counts more than 1,900 members, logs roughly 50,000 volunteer hours every single year, and raises millions of dollars for programs that serve Tampa Bay families in real, tangible ways. The Diaper Bank alone distributes about 1 million diapers annually to families in Hillsborough County who need them, and that program came directly out of the Junior League of Tampa. This year, the Junior League of Tampa celebrated 100 years of dedication to our city. In April, Mayor Jane Castor issued a proclamation and presented the organization with a key to the city. A few years ago, they hosted the Junior League Presidents of Large Leagues Conference right here in Tampa. This past April, they held a centennial gala at Palmacia Golf and Country Club, celebrating 100 years of service to the community. And they marked each decade of their history with a dedicated centennial project, 10 acts of service, one for every chapter of a century-long story. My guest today is Crowe, the current president of the Junior League of Tampa. Every year, a new president steps into this role. Katie is president during the most significant year in the organization's history, and she is here to tell that story. Katie, welcome to the Bay Builds podcast. So tell us, back in April of 1926, 22 women sit down together in Tampa. What are they responding to? What did they see in the city that made them say, we need to build something?
First of all, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here, and it's been a long time coming. So these 22 forward-thinking women, we say it over and over again, we're really responding to the needs of women and children in our community. Originally, it was always about basic needs, and that has continued to evolve as the terminology has continued to evolve and needs have continued to evolve in Tampa and, of course, across the country.
So the founding statement was to foster interest in the social, economic, educational, civic conditions of the community and to make the volunteer service efficient. That's a surprisingly sophisticated framing for 1926. So what does it tell us about who those women were?
I think it kind of tells you everything, and it's continued to draw these highly motivated individuals to our organization just to have the wherewithal to put something like that together in 1926. They've always been, the women of the Junior League of Tampa, very focused on not only service, but leadership and serving well. And I think that mission statement kind of encompasses that, deeper mission of the Junior League of Tampa.
So 100 years is a long time for any organization to survive, let alone grow. So what has the Junior League gotten right, or the Junior League specifically of Tampa gotten right, that so many other civic organizations have struggled with that allows them to have had this great history?
I think first and foremost, it's the women that are, that make up the Junior League of Tampa. I think also our leadership has been so intentional about being introspective, asking how we can continue to improve. We have multiple evaluation committees that exist to regularly evaluate our projects, our programs, our training. And I think that has helped us stay really true to our mission and mission driven. And then also, which is just kind of like an ancillary benefit of the women that make up the organization, having these thought leaders in the community come to us regularly and say, hey, you know, I'm noticing we have this shortage, or hey, I'm noticing that we could play a role in filling this gap. You know, have you ever thought about human trafficking or diaper need? And then that allows us to consider how we can best deploy our resources to best meet the needs of children and women and families.
So that's just, I mean, it's really incredible when you think about like the history and like the changes and like the different needs women and children have had in this 100-year time. So let's just talk about how the organization actually works. It has 1,900 members, who average about 50,000 volunteer hours a year. Over the time we've had the league raise millions of dollars. And like, just for people who are not familiar, this is not like a bake sale operation. So what does the infrastructure of the Junior League actually look like?
Our infrastructure is not unique to just the Junior League of Tampa. It's, you know, modeled over, you know, all of the leagues across the country. We are one of the largest leagues. So we have an executive board that drives the strategy. We have a management council who are overseeing the day-to-day operations of the chairs who sit on leadership council. And then all of our members are volunteer. So all of our projects and programs, all of the fundraising that we do, all of our volunteer hours, of course, we're unpaid volunteers, but we are professionally trained volunteers.
I've always said that you always know when Junior League members on your committee, because I don't think that the average person in the community understands that while the league's goal is to, you know, treat different causes for women and children, that at its heart, it's a training organization and to make some of the best volunteers. And they do that through these women's and children's causes. But to be able to put out into the community these women who are able to chair committees for all sorts of organizations, right? So you mentioned the diaper bank. So the diaper bank distributes now 1 million diapers a year in Hillsborough County for families. And walk me through how that program came to exist and what it takes to run it at that scale.
Man, well, I know you have some personal connection to your diaper bank through your sister, but we originally came up with the concept. It was a member that brought to our awareness that Hillsborough County did not have a diaper bank. It was after one of the storms, I think in 2022. She said, you know, there isn't any gap. Like there's no net here for families that have diaper need. And we kind of didn't even know what diaper need was. That wasn't a conversation we were regularly having. So to find out at that point, it was 1 in 3 families were affected by diaper need. Now it's even worse. It's 1 in 2 families. But families that struggle with diaper need can't put their kids in childcare. They can't go to work. You know, they have to make those tough decisions. You know, do I give my baby a clean diaper? Do I buy food? And that was kind of shocking to learn about. So we were operating out of Palmacia Storage. We just solicited donations and then we found partners to give these diapers to, and it kind of just took off. I mean, we could not have anticipated the true need and how we would be able to really meaningfully step into that space. And eventually it got so big to the point where Callie Smith, when she was chair, distributed the 1 millionth diaper in a year. So we realized quickly that while we loved this project and we enjoyed operating it, it was even outgrowing the Junior League. And so we embarked on a multi-year research initiative to figure out how to best launch this nonprofit into the community so it could be self-sustaining and we could continue to support it with the volunteer hours and funding. So now we're very proud of the Tampa Bay Diaper Bank. It is coming up on its 2nd year and fully operational. We launched it last year, so they're in their 2nd year of full operations outside of the Junior League of Tampa. But of course, as you're saying, many of their board members are Junior League women, which we're very, very proud of.
Just for people who don't understand, the diaper need is so great because a lot of the social services don't provide for diapers, right? Which makes kind of no sense.
No,
but
there's no SNAP benefits or anything that you can apply to diapers. So you're paying. We were successful. Actually, it was one of our advocacy efforts was lobbying for the no tax on diapers and period supplies. And we were really excited when that finally went through. So it's a small step.
Well, it's something that hopefully that could change as well, because that would help so many families.
Yes.
Just, the ability to work, as you said,
Absolutely.
hindered by that.
Absolutely.
So the centennial projects are one of the things that stand out to me about this year. The idea of doing one project for each decade of the league's history, from the circulating library of the 1920s all the way to today. Walk me through that concept. Where did that come from, and what does that look like in practice?
It was such a journey, such a labor of love. So many people worked on that project. So Meg Severino, when she was getting ready to serve as president-elect, had the excellent idea. I actually believe it was in between when she was leadership director and then president-elect, in that kind of gap year, that she went to Taylor Jones, who was our president, and said, we need to start planning for Centennial now. So they were 5 years away from where we are today. So 2021, they started the first committee, and they kind of set the stage for us. They divided the work into buckets, and then we embarked on a lot of research. We saw a lot of incredible photos and, newspaper articles and these wonderful archival pieces that it was such a joy to actually go through that and learn about it. I mean, we were doing it for a reason. We needed to figure out everything that we'd ever undertaken, every single project that we'd ever done, which was amazing. I think I didn't realize how impactful that would be as a member to embark on that work. Now, in reflection, it's kind of one of my favorite things about the year, was just like sitting in the boardroom with friends, going through these boxes of information. So we actually put together a big running list of all of the projects that we had ever done. And then the Centennial Vision Committee selected one project for each decade that we felt most represented that decade and that we could replicate today, right? There are some projects that, the creation of the Child Abuse Council, it's like, how do you do a project that really speaks to that? So there are, of course, incredible initiatives that we couldn't capture in a project, but learning about that legacy, I think, was so meaningful to our active members now. I mean, our sustainers are so knowledgeable because, they've laid this foundation. But it was excellent to be able to put these projects together, find nonprofits that are still doing the work that we are still connected to, we are still engaged with, and execute these projects to honor our history, but celebrate where we've come today. I mean, it was very full circle, very fulfilling, lots of hours, but very worth it.
Well, it's interesting when you say like which projects would make sense now. I remember when I first joined the league, they would talk a lot about one of the first projects was like the privatorium, right? For like the tuberculosis clinic. Well, like, thankfully no one has tuberculosis now. But just to think that these women who were volunteers, right, were just like sent in.
I know.
Just like, here, go deal with this. It's really like amazing what these women did over time and stepped into arenas that they knew sometimes nothing about, but they said, we'll figure it out.
I remember having a conversation with Susan Baldwin, who was my sponsor, and the wild stories that she would tell me about the volunteer projects that she would do with the Junior League of Tampa. I will say they were very inspiring, but a little intimidating. I was like, am I going to be expected to do these things? But then kind of this year, especially when the Pine Health Preventorium is a wonderful example, you think about, wow, the wartime efforts, like imagine being, we're so privileged today that, war isn't touching us the same way as it touched, neighborhoods and families back then. But just to continue to prioritize giving back in the midst of these health crises or geopolitical crises. I mean, we're just so fortunate to have this like incredible foundation, these women that have come before us to show us how to give back in meaningful ways.
And just their accomplishments are so inspiring that it just makes you realize like they did this with like
nothing,
no internet, like no cell phones, no like not even a fax machine, like, and how they even got it done, how they raised the money is just really incredible.
A fraction of what we have today.
So the league hosted the Junior League. You mentioned that the Junior League of Tampa is one of the largest leagues of what is like the association of the junior leagues. That conference for the presidents of the large leagues here in Tampa. So how was that experience, just being able to see the peers and seeing different, like what different leagues are doing and knowing that there's different challenges in different parts of the country? Like,
I mean, it's really inspirational to come together. So Junior League is one of the top 10 largest leagues in the country. So we have AJLI, that's like our parent organization that all leagues are a part of. And then within AJLI, you have kind of different focus groups. So POL, or Presidents of Large Leagues, is a gathering of the 10 presidents of the largest leagues in the country. So Meg Severino, when she was president, hosted a poll conference, which was just for the presidents, and they came to Tampa. We convened multiple leadership panels to hear from, our leading experts and past presidents in Junior League of Tampa. And it's very inspiring to hear what other organizations are facing. It kind of gets those creative juices flowing when you see how they're responding to problems or how they're structuring a committee or things like that. Even when I went to Boston and learned, about how they don't place women on committees. They kind of let anyone kind of choose their own adventures. They can just come to a committee meeting if you're interested in learning about it. It's so different, but it informed a lot of the work that we did this year around our new model that we've just launched. So it gives you that opportunity to learn and think about things in a way that you never would if you didn't engage with these women. So it's, very inspiring.
That's awesome.
Thrilling to be able to host that.
So one of the things people don't fully appreciate is that some of the organizations that are now permanent fixtures in Tampa Bay's nonprofit landscape started as Junior League projects.
Yes.
So walk me through what exists in the community today because of what league members decided to do something about as a problem in the community.
So we've already talked about the Tampa Bay Diaper Bank, which I think is a very recent example. We've also previously, I forget what decade, I want to say it was the 60s or maybe it was later and then the 80s, the Council for Child Abuse and Neglect has morphed into Champions for Children. So they're still around today. And then in the 2000s, we played a very active role in human trafficking awareness, obviously like Nicole Hubbard's passion project. And so the Heart Gallery isn't a direct launch from the Junior League of Tampa. Our birthday buddies kind of came alongside of the Heart Gallery and hosted birthday parties for children that have never experienced that. And that created these opportunities for parents to come, prospective parents to come and engage with these children. They hosted a variety of different events aside from birthday parties, but I think it was just a natural, relationship development. And then we've played a huge role in launching the Glazer Children's Museum, which is something we're very proud of and was one of our centennial projects. We hosted, I think it was over 500 or 600 people at the museum for a free day at the museum. So families and children got to come and celebrate at Glazer, which was awesome. I mean, so fun.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So with the leadership of the organization turning over every year and a new president steps in and there's a new board, positions, new priorities, same strategy, right? But everyone has like a little bit of their own vision. How does an organization maintain a coherent long-term strategy where the leadership team is rotating?
It's a challenge every year, I think, honestly. And I've said this so for the last few weeks. It's like, I feel like now I'm just getting super comfortable. And now it's like, okay, sayonara, like I'll see you later. Good luck. But I think our strategic plan really keeps us, grounded to the work. So it's never really one person setting an agenda and working to accomplish that. And I think our board has developed some really excellent strategies to ensure that there is full board awareness, alignment, and support behind any initiative that we undertake. And that's our responsibility as fiduciaries of the organization. I don't think you would ever learn how to do these big things in a place other than the Junior League of Tampa. I mean, I truly don't know how people learn them elsewhere, but it's an incredible skill set. But it's never just one person running the organization or saying, I have this idea, this is what we're going to do this year. It's all board supported. And then members are brought into it as soon as we can bring them into it. We want to have full member buy-in and hear their feedback. I mean, that's how we get to the best product and ensure that we're doing things that serve our members in addition to serving our community and what's best for the organization.
Well, no, that sounds awesome. And then what's so interesting to me, and I saw like firsthand, is a lot of times you are able to have a placement or a role in the league that is something you maybe didn't have experience in before. And like, so you have an opportunity to gain experience, as we said, a training organization. We used to say like the league knows what's best for you.
Yes.
And how many times that was proven true and how many opportunities people have. So I think a lot of times no one's like going in with like, this is like my organization.
No.
They know that it's a 1 year, situation. Correct. And they're trying to learn different things at all the different levels.
Absolutely.
But everyone still gets to put their stamp on it.
I would
agree.
It's
really kind of fun.
Yeah, that's well said.
Just something that I think a lot of people do say more outside the league is that the Junior League at a national level has sometimes a perception
Mm-hmm.
situation, right? There's an image, like we've all seen the movie The Help, and like the stereotype of what the organization is,
Mm-hmm.
which anyone in it knows it's not that. But like, what is that stereotype? And let's explain like how wrong that stereotype.
I think the stereotype really is like the ladies who lunch, that we're, not inclusive and diverse, from any like lens you want to look at those buzzwords at. And as you said, it's not true. I think certainly we've been given an opportunity to reflect back and grow. I think you asked a question to this earlier where you said, man, you had such a clear vision. And then now what you've been able to accomplish, and we reflect back on these women who laid this foundation. They were forward thinking even way back in the 20s. And it has always been a place that women could come to regardless of any affiliation or color, creed, whatever have you. And I think we've been very intentional about driving that messaging home to overcome that stereotype and say, whatever you've heard, think, or seen, that is not what the Junior League of Tampa is. And I would go so far as to say AJLI and leagues across the country have really done a lot of work to eliminate that stereotype and move away from it. It's not a sorority for adults. And I think our unification in service of children and families is really what brings so many people together. I mean, talking to the women that are in the organization, you don't even know some of these incredible stories. I mean, just yesterday, I was at the Sustainer of the Year Awards luncheon where we honored Renee Dabbs. Mindy held it, who was recently on your podcast, and hearing some of their resumes and the women that they've impacted is astounding. I mean, anyone that's drawn to that work has a place in the Junior League of Tampa. So, yeah,
well, and it is really cool to see like someone sitting next to you in a meeting and like what their job is or what they've accomplished in their private lives. It is really women who've just chosen to raise their hand and to look outside themselves and give back to their community. And if they're willing to do that, as far as my experience has been, the league has always been welcoming.
Absolutely.
In that case. So civic organizations across the country, though, are struggling to recruit the next generation. Younger women have more options of how they give their time and are skeptical of traditional institutions. So how is the Junior League of Tampa winning that battle?
I think just staying true to our mission and trying to get better every day about telling our story and why this is a preeminent women's development, leadership, and training organization like you've continued to drive home. I mean, honestly, the barrier to entry from a cost perspective, we're extremely competitive in the civic organization landscape in Tampa and nationally. When you look at what you can get for your dues and your membership, from training and mentorship to opportunities to serve and learn and be developed, you get out of it what you put into it, certainly. But we've been very intentional about continuing to improve on our storytelling, external communications, and thankfully, right now, the recruitment strategy is working. I mean, we've got more women than we can accept every year for our classes. And I mean, that's a gift in the landscape being what it is today. And I think being introspective, like we said earlier, and continuing to ask ourselves what we can do better to keep women engaged and invested is just one step. For instance, this year, we actually just recently, last week, we announced the hiring of Candace Culver, who's going to be our first ever chief operating officer for the Junior League of Tampa. That was a year's long. I'm sure when you were on the board, you were even talking about this. So I'm sure you're just like, yes, I'm so envious of the ladies that get to serve in this role with Candace. But that is something that we were so intentional about remaining volunteer-led, but staff-supported. And this hire strategically is going to position us well so that we can continue to bring in excellent women to these leadership roles and then into our organization. It's going to free up a lot of that mental clarity, I hope.
Well, it'll keep a lot of the continuity.
1,000%.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So is there anything about how the league has operated historically that you think deserve to change over time, or something the organization has had to like reckon with in any way?
I think actually Mindy was just making this joke yesterday that the board used to be 50 people, which I can't imagine trying to be an executive board and a management council and a leadership council all in one room. I mean, that's a lot of different skill sets and women and a lot of different ideas. So I think how we've sort of chosen to divide and conquer the work and having the executive board drive the strategy, our managers be the experts in the effective operations and execution of the strategic plan, and then letting our chairs grow and develop in their individual spaces, running their individual projects. I think that is incredible. And then I think also understanding that we don't have to be the experts in everything. And there are great experts in our community that we can go to and bring on board and walk alongside us on some of this work that we're endeavoring to accomplish. That has been it's been a gift. Candace is just one example. Terry Daniels with Cardinal Consulting is another. Renee Dabbs is another. Just understanding, yes, we are excellent women, but we have excellent relationships. It's a gift that many of these women come from our organization or are organizationally aligned already. But I think just admitting that, that we don't have to be the experts in everything. We can go to an expert and then, kind of reap the rewards of that partnership.
Well, I think it does feel like a change over time. So 100 years is obviously worth celebrating.
Yes.
But what's the honest conversation the league needs to have about the next 100 years? What keeps you and the rest of the leadership up at night about how for the women who are sitting here 100 years from now, for this organization to be there for them, what is going to be what the league looks like, do we think?
I think retention obviously is a conversation that we're continuing to have. And I know Lindsay Sierra as our incoming president, extremely intentional about the work that will be completed next year to continue to make the league feel like a worthwhile investment for our members. Being accepted is kind of the first step in a lifelong journey. And we do have incredible sustainers that have been members for so long. I mean, generations of members. And that's really what we hope. We're not trying to just be a place that you swing into and swing out of. We want to be a place that you come and really invest in for a lifetime, that you want your daughter or your nieces to join. So retention is obviously a conversation that we're continuing to have. The continuity of our fundraising relationships, I mean, that is always something that, as past HGM teams, that's so critical to protect those relationships. And then I would say understanding that we have such a respected place in the community because of our service. And I think oftentimes, especially future generations, I think they look at this as more of a social opportunity or an opportunity for training, which is they're like, great, that's kind of what I'm looking for. I feel like that's, kind of where that 20-something group is really gravitating to. And certainly we provide those opportunities, but really getting back to the heart of our mission and our why, which is the service of children, women, and families in Tampa. And you can have all of those things, again, like ancillary benefits, when you are mission driven and mission aligned. So continuing to figure out where are the spaces that we can operate well in, reduce member burnout, and, continue to drive our women to want to pursue that path in leadership, because that's really where you see so much of the ROI of membership.
It's just so interesting to watch how different women come to the league over time and what their different goals are. And I was lucky enough to chair provisional ed, which is the new women who joined the league, and just seeing their different reasons for joining. There are such a diverse, many reasons. And for women watching this who would consider joining the league, there's not just one reason, right, to join the league. And you may join the league for one reason and then end up staying in the league for a completely different reason, which I think is very common. At least I noticed with a lot of people, I've known in the league. So when you look at what Tampa Bay has become, and now here in 2026, the growth, the attention, the national profile, how much of the foundation of the city was laid by organizations like the Junior League? Does that story get told enough?
I think we've started to do a really great job of telling that story. We had a moment at our gala recently, our centennial gala, where we interviewed sustainer emeritus members, so members that have been in the organization for, the longest amount of time. And one of them said poignantly, they attribute much of what's happened in the city to, of course, like the city council and our leaders, but a third of what has happened in Tampa, they would attribute back to the Junior League being on the front lines and driving this conversation forward and then driving the work forward and creating the change agents that have then deployed into the community to continue that work in various sectors. So I do think that it's a wonderful attribute to be humble about the work that you've done and know that you play a small role in it. But there is also a time to be very proud of the long-standing relationships that we've built and the impact that we've been able to have, and to kind of brag on that a little bit. I think the Centennial has afforded us that opportunity to do that. And it's something that I hope that we continue to, like a story I hope we continue to tell even long after this year.
Well, no other organization has this many volunteer hours available. Like, to get anyone to do anything like outside of the league. Like, I mean, it's like kind of become a joke in some circles of like, well, I need some people. Let me call the league. Like, let me just see. And those women always show up. And like, that is first call you should make.
Absolutely.
But it's just interesting, I think, of like, knowing that even if you were to move to another city or someone were to move to this city, if you transfer your league membership, you automatically are going to find like-minded people and women who have come to Tampa as league transfers and have been able to make an impact immediately. I've been just seeing Tampa such a welcoming city.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's really such a great experience.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, my mom was a member of the Junior League of Austin. That's where I grew up for like much of my little childhood years. And I kind of always knew that I wanted to be a member of the Junior League wherever I went. And we have incredible women who transfer in all the time. I just saw a friend the other day. She moved to West Palm and she just went to her first meeting at, Junior League of the Palm Beaches. And I have another friend that I made in, Junior League that's now president of, Junior League of the Wiregrasses in Dothan, Alabama. So, I mean, it's exciting that you have this opportunity to kind of like, you can go anywhere, but the league is a consistent place where you can go to draw that connection from. It's unique in that way. There's not many other organizations that I know of that you can kind of just like plop into any city and
be welcomed
immediately. And, kind of to your question earlier about like a stigma of the Junior League, I think many people think, oh, if my mom wasn't in it or my aunt wasn't in it, or if they weren't in this role, I'll never be, I'm not from Tampa. I moved here 15 years ago and, I've been able to become the woman I am because of women that I've met in the Junior League. I mean, they've impacted my life in every area. You do not have to be, Miss Tampa to get into one of these, chapters, whether you're here or elsewhere. You really just have to be drawn to that mission.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the Centennial Gala, which was just now, I guess, like almost 2 months ago.
Crazy.
Now the dust has settled from that. What was a moment from that night that you'll carry with you? And did the evening feel like what you hoped it would?
It did feel like I hoped it would. And it did not. It did not start that way. I was actually just thanking Susan Touchton at our last meeting. She's our sustainer at large on the executive board this year and a past president. And she's become a great friend and mentor. And I kind of almost got choked up telling her I'm so glad that she called me at the beginning of the year and said, you're thinking about this wrong. This is a moment to celebrate. You need to pivot. And sometimes it can be hard to kind of get that feedback when you're planning for years for an event. And I'm so glad that she kind of stopped to give us that feedback because it was absolutely incredible. I can't imagine going with another plan. Obviously, I have to give all of the credit to Christina Menino, who was the chair, Caitlin Howell, who was their manager, and their incredible gala team. A moment that I will personally carry with me is sharing that evening with my mom and my husband. I, again, like I said, became a member because of my mom's service and her bringing me along with her when I was little to volunteer shifts in Austin. I still remember, like sorting clothes begrudgingly at, the Goodwill or something like that. But, seeing that it was a place where she could go and serve with her friends and that community that she had while giving back to, kiddos and moms, something stuck with you, obviously, to want to go share that moment. I was sad that my dad could not be there. He passed in September, but it would have been, I know he was extremely proud of me, and it was incredibly meaningful to have that moment standing up on that stage, looking at my mom and my husband sitting there and getting to share that with them and so many mentors and friends that I've made through the Junior League.
That sounds like such an incredible night for you. I'm
It
so
was.
glad you got to
Thank
experience that. So last main question. So 100 years from now, when the Junior League of Tampa celebrates its bicentennial, what do you hope they're still doing, and what do you hope looks completely different?
I hope that we continue to do things that are true to our legacy, that we're still looking back but looking forward at the same time. I hope we're still on Davis Islands. I hope that we've expanded. I hope that we are an organization of women built by women that want to see the future impacted by the work that we do, that we want to continue to serve children and families, that we've endeavored in that space, that I don't even know, Tracie. I need to pause that. That's like an incredible question. I mean, there's so many opportunities for continued growth and development. I hope we're still introspective and asking ourselves what we can do. I hope we're still looking outward to the community to tell us what the issues are that we need to be prioritizing. And that, man, it would be so cool to still be around. I know I won't be, but I hope they dig up that time capsule.
That's
I hope they don't
awesome.
lose it.
So lastly, we ask everyone the same 3 questions. We call it the lightning round.
Oh, I love it.
And there are no wrong answers here.
Okay.
So the first question is, what would you consider your hype song, or the song, like if you were going into an important meeting, you would like, or some people call it your walk-up music. Like, what would be like your go-to fire you up?
I mean, I think I would love to be like very cool and trendy and have like a Justin Bieber song on the top of my brain. But I've always said Eye of the Tiger. It's a song that I heard every football game at Auburn, and something that I do just love every time it comes on. I kind of jam out to
That's
it.
a great choice.
Yeah,
Great
thanks.
choice. And then what is your current favorite Tampa Bay restaurant?
I did just go to the Pearl for my husband's birthday and thought it was incredible. On Swan's kind of always a favorite.
2 great
Yes.
choices, of course. And what is the best business gift you've ever received?
Like a tangible gift?
Either way, any way you want to answer that.
I will say probably the best business gift I've ever received is recognition from my brokerage. This year, I was fortunate enough to receive the Mary Smith Conover Award at Smith & Associates for my work in the Junior League, but also my work with Safety Bears for Kids, which is another organization that I'm running now. And that in and of itself was an incredible gift, being entrusted with this additional organization. I think because of the relationships that I developed in my office, as well as, my knowledge of running nonprofits, that was so meaningful to be recognized by my company. It's not a production number or a goal. And I think none of us do this work in nonprofits to be recognized. So to have that moment and to see how proud my broker was of me, that was so meaningful.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
very sweet.
Well, Katie, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a blast. I love this.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
100 years of showing up for this city before it was cool to show up for this city is not something you stumble into. That is an institutional commitment that has been chosen over and over again by every woman who walks through the doors of the Junior League of Tampa. If you've never heard of the Junior League of Tampa before today, well, now you have. Go to jltampa.org to learn more about what they do. If you're a woman between the ages of 22 and 49 in Hillsborough or Pasco County, and you want to be part of something that has been building in this region for a century, look into membership. And if you're a business in Tampa Bay, sponsorship opportunities are available for their annual holiday gift market, which is coming up this November. This organization does real work with real impact. Your investment goes somewhere you can actually see. To everyone listening, if this episode was worth your time, please share it. Tag someone who needs to hear about what the Junior League of Tampa is doing in this community, and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Tracie Domino, and this is the Bay Builds Podcast. We'll see you next time.